Are you ready? Stand by.
Welcome to the Three Gun Show, brought to you by Armalite Rifles, LAG Tactical, and Breda Shotguns. I'm your host, Dave Hartman. My guest this week is law enforcement officer, firearms trainer, and three-gunner Joe Farewell. If you're new here, the Three Gun Show is a weekly podcast that is all about practical shooting. I shot my first three-gun match in 2011 and completely fell in love with it. Since then, I've shot USPSA, practical shotgun, two-gun, and PCC matches. I also have rimfire and precision matches on the schedule for 2018, and I always come back to three-gun as it is a sport that I am passionate about. The Three Gun Show is my way of giving back and introducing new people to the sport while sharing the hard-earned knowledge of world-class shooters. There are over 180 hours of interviews with top competitors across a multitude of disciplines. Each week we discuss topics such as gear, technique, training, mental game, and we joke around and laugh a lot along the way too, especially when we discuss match travel stories. If you like this type of podcast, be sure to subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. This podcast is also brought to you by LAG Tactical. I've been using LAG mag pouches and holsters for years, ever since James Casanova introduced me to their Nova holsters and their first generation competition mag pouches. They have a new design for mag pouches out now in the MCS, the modular carry system, which features a two-piece design and fits a wide variety of pistol mags as well as different brands of AR mags. I got to see the prototypes in action when Scott Green won the Lucas Oil PCC Championship, and I'm excited to run them myself. Check them out at lagtactical.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Armalite. Through Armalite, I am able to get special pricing for listeners on their line of three-gun rifles. They have a 13.5 and an 18-inch model, both with Armalite's patented tunable comp, Timney triggers, Luth AR stocks, and they're ready to go right out of the box. If you're more of a build-your-own rifle kind of person, I have a few of their competition handguards left in 12-inch and 15-inch sizes as well. So when you're in the market for a rifle or components to build your own, just email me, dave@threegunshow.com, and I will hook you up. Anytime you see me on the range, you can check out my rifle. I'm currently rocking the 13.5-inch Shorty three-gun rifle with a Vortex Optics Viper PST 1-6 on it, which I'm really enjoying. In this episode, Joe and I discuss the benefits of competitive shooting for law enforcement, how to encourage friends and coworkers to get into the sport, and the biggest rule of three-gun. Plus, how to shortcut your learning curve in the shooting sports. We cover a lot in this podcast, so buckle in and enjoy this one with Detective Joe Farewell. Joe, welcome to the Three Gun Show.
Thanks, Dave. It's great to be back.
Dude, I'm glad to have you back. For patrons, for people that support the show on Patreon, this is going to be a familiar voice. This is our buddy Joe Farewell here, and he did a match recon of the SMD shotgun match. It's like the Lucas Oil series.
Yep. It was a good time. And if you're not on the Patreon and supporting the show, go do it. You don't even have to spend that much money. It's literally like $2 a month if you want to be a cheapskate.
Yeah, what Joe said. But so for new people, we're going to get into the shooting life that is Joe, and we've got some interesting topics to talk about today. So glad to have you on, and I appreciate you taking a break from the beach time to join us on the show.
Yeah, I feel bad for a lot of my buddies that are up north, but I did go out and spend a couple hours on the beach today, and it is absolutely gorgeous down here in Florida. 80 degrees out today, but yeah, once it comes July, they'll be rubbing it in my face, so it's only fair.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's actually really nice in Colorado today. It's like 50-something degrees, but we were supposed to have a range day tomorrow, like a range practice, and where we shoot is going to be 27 degrees and snowing. And I was like, well, guess I'm not going to go to that one. And immediately, like all the friends that I made in Minnesota, because I shot up there a bunch this year, were giving me a hard time. Like, well, you stop shooting when it's 27 degrees and snowing? Yes, I do.
Well, see, I was looking at the weather for the exact same reason. I'm actually doing a class tomorrow, but we've got the opposite. It's going to be like 86 degrees and I am not looking forward to that at all. It's gonna be hot as blazes out there.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, so I got no sympathy for you, buddy. I'm gonna be huddled up with the dog tomorrow by the campfire.
Yep. Well, you do that.
Well, Joe, let's so obviously you live in a warm climate. You're from Florida. Let's give the audience an idea of your background a little bit. We're going to talk about quite a few things here, but let's discuss that who you are off the range portion here first.
Well, there's not really a whole lot of me off the range anymore.
Well, your range is attached to your house.
Yeah, that is true. So I do have the blessing of having a range out my back door. Basically, I walk about 100 yards, and I have a full range with the assortment of competition targets and VTAC walls, and I can shoot out to 150 yards and have a good time. That's where I run classes, but that's not my main focus right now. I've been in law enforcement for 5 years now. I just hit my 5th anniversary, and in that 5 years, it's been a very quick progression from street cop to street crimes to narcotics, gangs, etc. Right now, I've been on our SWAT team for almost 4 years, and I've pretty much taken over a lot of the training there. And then I also am a firearms instructor and general instructor for the department. In addition to that, I have a family. So if I'm not working, I'm trying to spend a little bit of time with my family. But about a year and a half ago, I started doing classes, and it came from a desire to have people who are carrying guns for self-defense primarily to have a better understanding. I took my wife to a concealed carry class that it's kind of your run-of-the-mill thing. We had about 15, 20 people in the classroom. They kind of came in with the attitude of, all right, everyone quiet down, listen to what we have to say. If you have any questions, look it up online, and then we'll go shoot 5 rounds at the target, and you'll get your blessing of now you can carry a gun on the street.
Wow.
Yeah. So after going through that class with her, and I'd already had mine, and that was fine. But after going through that class and seeing just the lax standards that our state has for concealed carry permits, I wanted to build my own class around that to basically give people a better understanding of what they're getting into when they're carrying. Because carrying concealed is one thing, but actually having to use it, take somebody's life potentially, or just having the mindset is a completely different and foreign thing to most people.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing a concealed carry class here and there. I had a lot of people that were pushing for some more advanced training. I started doing some defensive pistol classes, doing some competition classes, because competition is my love. We love to shoot. We love to shoot 3-gun. So been shooting 3-gun for about 5 years now. Yeah, just about 5 years. And now that's pretty much my life is either I'm working at work, or I'm working at home, or I'm trying to squeeze out a little bit of family time like I did today, going out to the beach and enjoying the time. I've got 2 little girls and a beautiful wife that are supportive of what I do 99% of the time, and the rest of the time they're begging me to come hang out. So it keeps me busy, very, very busy.
Well, for people that aren't following you on Instagram, you definitely have to go follow Joe on Instagram, because he does all kinds of cool things and has the story to prove it, the Instagram story. And one of the cutest things is when you take your one of your daughters you take to the range, and the other one's not interested, right? But she wants to help you build stuff for the range.
Well, they both come out to a match before. My 6-year-old, she loves to build stuff. She's always asking me when I'm off. She's asking if we can go out and build things with hammers and nails. That's her thing. She wants to go build something. Awesome. That's great. She wants to be hands-on.
Yeah.
So she helped me build the targets that I get whenever I get a new target in or a target system. I just got the that Red Stitch Magstar in, and she was right there with me, bolting it together and using the wrench, and she loved it. And then my other one, she's 4, and she's been out to a couple matches now. And I'll tell you what, when I get up and say, all right, I'm going to a match, who wants to go with me? She's the first one to jump up, and she insists on wearing. So I have I have a whole bunch of sets of Armalite Impact Sports electronic earmuffs that they sent me a whole bunch of pairs for students to have, so that when I yell at them on the range, they can hear me.
Cool.
So I have all different colors. She wants the camo ones, and that is the only ones that she will settle for. She doesn't want the pink ones, doesn't want the purple ones, doesn't want the teal ones. She wants the camo ones. Those are hers. So anytime we go to the range, she has to have the camo earmuffs. And she's a hoot, man. I love being able to take them and teach them the shooting sports as well.
Yeah, that's awesome to be able to integrate the family into the hobby as well, because then you still get that quality time. Plus, there's so many phenomenal lady shooters that we shoot with that talk about how they grew up, picking up brass on the range with their dad at matches and stuff like that. So
yep,
it's pretty cool. So do you plan to introduce your daughters to competitive shooting?
Absolutely, if they'll have me, and I think they will. But they've already started shooting. They shoot the 22. I got a little MP15 22 with a little Vortex red dot on it that they love to shoot. And then my oldest, she's 6, and she shot my AR for the first time. I sat there and rang steel time after time.
Nice.
Didn't cause PTSD or anything like that. She was having a blast. But I'm really excited because I got into the Rock Hard 3-gun match up at Rock Castle Shooting Sports.
Cool.
Which is only a couple weeks away now. But we are going up there as a family, and that's going to be the first traveling match that any of my family's been to. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to stay in the lodge and kind of take a weekend off and go shoot some, go explore some, and I'm stoked. I think it's going to be a blast.
That's awesome, man, and a great place to do it too. That Mammoth Cave's right next door, so tons of cool family stuff around there.
Yep, I'm pretty stoked.
Nice. Well, okay, so Joe, you're law enforcement. You've got kind of a quick path through that. You told me to watch Training Day, and then that's basically the path that you took in law enforcement. Is that correct?
Something along those lines. You were putting words in my mouth, but yes,
yeah, totally am.
What it is.
but you're Denzel, right?
Not at the end of the movie.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, that's a great movie though, and I appreciate your quality choices in cinema.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I can't remember when that was. I was like probably a month ago now. I was watching Training Day. I'm like, oh man, I wonder if this is Joe's life, like in a documentary form here. So,
pretty sure you sent me a Snapchat or Instagram on that or something.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, hey man, this part reminds me of you.
Well, there's always good stories that come from that.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, Joe, the main focus of what we're here to talk about today is that law enforcement piece, and you have like a unique perspective on the game because of your your background there. So we got God, I can't remember what it was, but maybe it was when we were in Texas last year. We got to talking about the benefits of 3-gun, of competitive shooting for law enforcement, and you kind of lamented that there's not more people that you can drag in from your local area, and that seems to be kind of one of your missions, is to expose your coworkers to competitive shooting.
Yep. So I started competitive shooting probably about 8 years ago now with USPSA, and that was before I had been through the academy. It was about the time I was going through the academy, I think. But After going through the academy, after getting the training that they offered there, I was kind of blown away because I'd already been shooting some competition, and I'd grown up shooting, so I had an understanding of it. But the level of training that they offered through the police academy was poor at best. We have 2 weeks on the range out of a 6-month academy, and frankly, that's not enough. Most cops that you're dealing with have very little drive to shoot in general. Some of them do. Some of them really enjoy shooting, and there are good shooters out there. But in general, across the board, I'd say probably 75% plus don't have a shooting background or a shooting drive.
Mm-hmm.
The only training they get is that which the department puts on for them, which for a lot of departments is very limited because of budgetary issues. And the old train of thought is, well, all you got to do is qualify once a year.
Yep.
But the fact of the matter is that when it comes down to it, that it's the one skill that really, if you need it, you want it to be 100%.
Mm-hmm.
A deadly force situation is brutal, and it happens fast, and there's tons of stress and adrenaline dump and all that stuff. So I kind of realized very quickly that the lack of training that they give you there is unfortunate, but you have to take it on yourself to get better. So of course I had already a love for shooting and for competitive shooting. And so after I started the police department, I was, like, dude, come on, let's go out and shoot. We'll go out to my range, and then we can go out and shoot a match. And I was excited because I'm like, I'm going to get all these cops that are going to be able to come out and shoot with me, and we're going to have a good time, and I'll get to know some of the guys I'm working with, and it'd be great. Well, very quickly I realized that the biggest argument to coming out and shooting with me was, well, is the department going to give me ammo?
Yeah.
No, Walmart's got ammo. You can go get ammo at Walmart. So
I hear that
was the
too.
quickest turn off. And then secondarily, when I did finally get some guys to come out to a match, they were very quickly turned off because they realized that the truck driver and the plumber and the dentist that are shooting with them on the squad are all way better than them.
Yeah.
And they don't carry guns every day.
Yeah.
So there's a mentality across law enforcement in general that I've seen, that because they carry a gun every day, because we carry a gun every day, we're better shots than everyone else. And when you get your butt kicked by a 13-year-old whose dad's been shooting for 20 years, that's a doctor, and this 13-year-old, has access and has the ability, and he kicks this cop's butt because he practices. Well, it's an injury to the ego.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's one of the biggest turnoffs. So,
well, I'm glad you're here on the show to discuss this, because this is an observation that I've had for quite a while, but it makes me sound like a jerk when I say it because, I'm not in law enforcement, so I don't live that life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen that quite a bit, of the mentality of like, well, I carry a gun every day. My thing is like, yeah, you carry a gun every day, but do you use your gun every day? And the answer is no. Carrying it doesn't make you any better at using it. And
right.
There's been several police officers that I've spoken to. They're like, oh yeah, we qualify all the time. It's every 6 months. And like, well, okay, that's not all the time. And, it's just like perspectives are off because we shoot so much, in
right.
In 3-gun and USPSA and stuff like that. The other one I heard recently was, with my, I don't know what it is, like level 19 retention holster, I can draw in 2.5 seconds. So it's just as fast as anything else if you have practice on it. And I was thinking, well, okay, I don't think that's a good draw.
Yeah.
But those are all things that I shy away from confronting people about because the rest of the job is very difficult, right? So,
Oh yeah, there's no question.
Yeah, and you do need a lot more skills other than just shooting. So I understand that, the de-escalation factor, the, problem solving and stuff like that is a big part of it. So I just kind of like, all right, you got a hard enough job. You don't need, Johnny podcaster over here giving you a hard time about your shooting skills. But it is.
But I can outshoot you any day of the week.
Yeah. I leave that part out of it. But
yeah.
But it is attainable, right? Because there's like a lot of the top guys in our sport: Keith Garcia, Greg Jordan, Nick Atkinson. Those are all dudes that we look up to and admire for their shooting abilities. They're police officers,
right?
Or former police officers, and so it's not to say that it's not attainable for law enforcement. It's just like the focus is different, and they haven't put the time in.
Right, and so my department's actually pretty good about shooting. We have in-service training once a month, and typically we have about 5, maybe 6 of those that involve shooting. Okay, so 6 times a year we're shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, being on the SWAT team, we also train twice a month in addition to that. So we're, and probably at least 3/4 of those involve some sort of shooting drills.
Yeah.
Whether it's a half day of going out and just warming up, or we qual quarterly instead of yearly. And then, so we shoot a lot more. However, there's very little training that is under stress. And when you put somebody under any sort of stress, you just watch them fall apart.
Is that
the problem
just accuracy training then?
For the most part, accuracy, and of course fundamentals, reloads, 2 shots reloads, and those are great drills, and those are crucial to have. But we rarely do anything under stress, and we've done it a couple times since I've been on there. Where I've been pushing for it in our training, where we're adding stuff in to where you're having to jump out of a car and run to the trunk and shoot and add a little bit to it. The problem is you're dealing with anywhere between 50 to 60 officers at a time that you're trying to run through these drills.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you have a full day of doing it, it eats up time, and you can't run 10 people, 20 people at a time besides standing on a static range. So what I've learned is, and I preach this religiously, that competition shooting, and I don't care which methodology you do, as long as it's on the practical side. I don't care if you do IDPA or USPSA or 3-gun or IPSC or whatever you want to do. I don't care. As long as there's a timer involved and preferably movement, then that is the best training as far as shooting goes that you can receive. Yes, you have to go out and do it on your own. There are very few departments out there that have a shooting team that they will give ammo to go out and compete. There are a couple, and I'm very jealous of those guys. They're driving their department issued vehicles, to a major match and shooting department ammo and everything. I'm like, that's freaking awesome. Good for you guys.
Sounds great.
However, in the vast majority of law enforcement, that doesn't happen. So, but as far as working your guns, working through malfunctions, because if you shoot competition for 2 or 3 matches, you're gonna have a malfunction. I remember the first time I got it wasn't even an officer from my own agency. It was a neighboring agency, a smaller agency that I actually went through their Explorer program in high school. But I talked one of their guys into coming out, and he brought his duty gear, and we were just shooting a defensive pistol league match at the Universal Shooting Academy. It's a match that Shannon Smith came up with because he wanted to shoot his concealed carry.
Yeah, I've heard him talk about that on his podcast. It sounds like a pretty cool format.
It's a great format. It's 50 rounds, so you're not looking at buying a whole bunch of ammo. They have a division for everybody, and so if you want to shoot concealed carry, if you want to shoot a pocket gun, you can bring out your little J-frame revolver and shoot a competition with it. And they're short, fast little stages that are defensive minded, Okay, shoot throughs count, just like in the real world. So it's a great concept, and it was a good way for me to get some cops to come out and try it out. Now, this guy, younger guy, he comes out with his duty rig, and he had, mind you, it's a 50-round match. He had no less than 2 or 3 malfunctions on every stage.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, dude, this is the gun that you're carrying on duty, right? This is the one that you're putting your life on the line. And it was an eye-opener for him. He took the gun back and took it to his armor, and they switched it out to a new one because there was something that was wrong with it. I don't remember if it was an extractor that was bent or something like that, but something was wrong with this duty handgun, and he didn't realize it. He'd been carrying it for 2 years or whatever, and the only time he shot it was at quals. And like, now we're in a competition scenario. What happens if you go out on the street tonight and you have to use that to defend yourself?
Ah, God.
Yeah. Now you're going to be better at working through the malfunction because you've had to do it so many times, but you're also aware of the malfunction so you can get it fixed.
Wouldn't that scare the hell out of you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like, how long you been walking around that thinking, like, if something really bad happens, I can, good God.
Well, it's terrifying. Every year at our annual calls, which we did those last week, or 2 weeks ago, as a firearms instructor, I'm standing behind everybody, and it is terrifying. Just there's a few select people that you basically have to stand behind them so they don't turn around and laser everybody, and they will at some point anyway. You got other ones that every third round they're limp wristing it to the point where they won't feed. And it's like,
Jeez.
how can you do this to yourself when this is what not only your life may depend on, but if I'm sitting there with somebody on top of me getting my ass handed to me, you're going to be the one that pull up on the scene and you got to shoot them off of me. That scares the piss out of me. So it's been a struggle. It's been a passion of mine to try to get more cops into competitive shooting, because it is an eye opener when you work with your duty gear under any sort of stress and you realize, oh, I can't reach my magazine there, or whatever the case may be. That opens people's eyes. And Kevin, Triple Kevin on Facebook. I can't remember his last name right now, but
Kevin Travis.
Yes, Kevin Travis. He introduced isn't he the one who introduced the
Patrol Division?
Talking about the Patrol Division.
Yeah.
I love it.
So,
I love it. I'm gonna push that to Shannon, get a Patrol Division down here so that we can start getting some of these guys out.
We were affectionately calling it Super Trooper the very first time that he ran it. Super Trooper Division, which is kind of funny. But yeah, it's Patrol Division, so we should probably explain that to people. So it's basically like duty pistol, duty shotgun, duty rifle is the goal. There are some caveats and rules in there to try to keep people like me from gaming it, but it's a pretty cool concept. Pump shotgun, duty type pistols, mostly striker. There is provisions for 1911 for the old people or the Texans, and fixed magnification on the rifle, no comps kind of thing. So, but yeah, it's a great concept. And, Kevin's goal is to get more first responders, first of all, to come out to the match and shoot it. And then, the guys that we normally shoot with that are first responders, they can, bring out their duty gear and give it a go.
Yep. And I think I love it. It's freaking brilliant.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool concept. I'm definitely going to bust out the gear that I first started shooting 3-gun with, like my pump shotgun, my Glock 17, and then I've got like an updated 16-inch barrel 1X rifle that I'm going to be bringing out. But I'm going to shoot that Division and report back on it, because it sounds like a ton of fun, even if you're not law enforcement.
Yep, and it is cool to change it up, because a lot, we get so used to our race guns, shooting flat as can be, and being able to quad load like a freaking boss, and having that sweet trigger in your pistol, that when you jump back to the duty gear, you're like, holy crap. Now I try to mimic a lot of my duty gear over to or back and forth with my competition gear as much as I can. I mean, I say that, and I have about the only thing that mimics it is a CMC trigger in my rifle, but even that's different because it's a curved one. But oh yeah, I shot a match last year, or 2 years ago now. It was the Florida State Sunshine Games, and I shot that in limited with my SBR that I carry on duty. And I actually won limited division with that little 1X scope or 1X red dot, and it was a blast. I love shooting it because it's something that I don't shoot that much out of, except for when I'm at work.
Yeah,
and it was really good practice to get comfortable with, or more comfortable with it. So, I think the patrol division is awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is funny how used to go fast gear we get, because even like our light 3-gun rifles, or at least I guess mine's pretty heavy as far as light stuff goes. But I built like this nice super lightweight 16-inch gun that's like my truck gun now, and I've got the little Spitfire 1X on there. And I took the thing out to shoot it, and I'm like, wow, this recoils way more than I remember. And I don't mean like it was hurting my shoulder and causing PTSD. It's just like the dot was disturbed off the target way more than I recall it being. And I was like, wow, have I relaxed my form that much? Because the low gas, the low recoil, the amazing Armalite comp and all that stuff has babied me so much that I don't even have to like think about shooting that 13.5-inch Armalite that I shoot. So, dude,
it's true. It's true. When you jump onto your competition rifle, and you're like with mine, I can sit there and do double taps on a 2/3 BC, or 2/3 IPSC target at 100 yards and sit there and crank off 0.2 splits and be ringing the seal every shot.
Yeah.
At 100 yards, that's unheard of. But then you switch it out to a bird cage or something like that, and suddenly, holy crap! It's amazing how much work that comp does. And I tell people, the first two things you need for a rifle, is a comp and a trigger.
Yep.
Right. You do those two things, and you've got a completely different beast on your hands that will shoot so much better than you ever thought it could.
Yeah, for sure. And I've got the A2 birdcage flash hider on mine, on my truck gun. So yeah, it's definitely doing nothing as far as recoil goes.
It bounces like crazy.
Yeah,
but that's funny. It does what it's designed to do. But going back and forth, it absolutely definitely makes a difference. So having a division where that's what people are shooting in is awesome. It really is.
Yeah.
So
can't wait to get my my pump shotgun back out with the wood stock and shoot some slugs. Remember how that felt? Go home every weekend with a bruise on my face.
Oh yeah. It's not pleasant at all.
So
I actually shot my duty shotgun the other day, and we were shooting. I was working a sporting clays event. They had me out there with all the explorers to help volunteer for it, and all these guys are coming out to this the stations. But before they came out there, I'm like, hey, nobody's at my station. I'm gonna shoot a couple clays. I got my work truck here, and I got my work shotgun, and I got a box of shells, and I started shooting them, and I'm like, holy crap, this thing doesn't have a choke in it. I'm shooting at these clays that are like 40 yards away, and I can't even hit it.
Yeah.
The patterns opens up so much.
Yeah, mine's the same way. I don't know. I guess it's a cylinder choke when it's yeah, so cylinder choke, 18-inch barrel. Like, you can't hit anything. Got it.
Mine's like a 16-inch barrel or something like that. Stupid short, whatever the shortest is.
Yeah,
it's a tactical shotgun.
Sweet.
Great for clearing rooms, but that's about it.
Yeah. Good times. Well, so how's your mission going? Are you able to get dudes from your your what do you call it, agency out to shoot with you? Has it?
I've gotten a grand total of two of them out to a match, and they're both off the team. They've come out to one match, and no 3-gun, just the DPL match. But I am still hammering away. I've gotten several other people from other agencies to come out with me, local agencies, which is good.
Cool.
And you know, it doesn't have to be from my agency necessarily. I'd love to see him from my agency because that's my backup. But a few years ago, I want to say 13, maybe 14, we started, me and a couple other buddies started the public safety 3-gun team. And the whole idea was to get more cops and firefighters into 3-gun. And we didn't have a lot of success. Most of the guys have stopped shooting 3-gun or moved on. Life changes, kids happen, and people priorities change. But I still wear the logo, and I still push that mentality out there. Listen to Daniel Jurassic's in podcast the other day. Man, he hit the nail on the head, and he freaking hit all the points that I'd love to cover. And he's been doing an excellent job of promoting the sport to his firefighter buddies out there and getting them into it. I'd love to see myself get to that point where I'm able to get the people here locally into it. And I'm working now to get extra gear, because I offer loaners. I let people use my own gear, and even with that, it's just it's like pulling teeth, which I hate. I can't stand seeing it like that.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is it's the best training you can get for a defensive situation, because you don't have to think about drawing your gun. You don't have to think about prepping the trigger. You do that automatically because you're doing it on the clock, and you've already got the stress. Nothing else gives you that stress except for force-on-force encounters. Where if you can find an instructor that works with sims, that's awesome. That's some great training. However, I work with sims too through the department, and I can tell you, if you're not comfortable with your gun in a regular scenario or in a competition scenario, you're going to suck at sims too, because now you're dealing with pain, and having a good basic understanding of how a gun works and how to point shoot at different ranges and how to work your sights, it really comes into play when you start adding into in pain and high levels of adrenaline rush,
Mm-hmm. So Joe, you've got 2 guys out to shoot with you. You're doing better not in your own backyard. What methods are you trying? Like how are you approaching? How do you approach this? And for the ones that you've been successful on, like what method did you use to lure those guys in, and how can you replicate that? And for the audience, if there's law enforcement officers listening, how can they get people from their departments to come out with them?
Well, truly, it's just been constant heckling. It's and I try to be, the fact of the matter is I'm the best shot at my department by a good bit. There's some people that could probably outshoot me as far as standing there and putting holes on paper, but speed versus accuracy and adding everything else in, there's no question. So I've become somebody that people come and ask me about shooting, right? I've become that guy at the department that's the gun guy. Okay.
Well, you've done the 3-Gun Nation Pro Series as well, so that gives you some sort of authority with people in your range as well, right?
Yeah, and as I've grown on social media and whatnot, they've started to see it, and it's never been something that I really publicized to everybody. And I don't post my Instagram page on the bathroom wall for, hey, go check out. I kind of try to keep my work life and my shooting life separate.
Sure.
For a couple of reasons, but for a while there, I had my personal Facebook page as a different name because of the people I deal with at work. There's people that really don't like me, people that I've sent to prison that would like to see nothing more than me in a pile of mess somewhere. And running into those people at Walmart off duty is never fun, but it's the reality of what I deal with. And because I've gotten to the point now where I'm trying to promote myself through shooting and promote the shooting community. I've changed my name back to my actual name, and I'm not stressing that anymore. If people want to find me, they're going to find me. It's a fact of the matter.
Mm-hmm.
As far as answering your question, there, I'm trying to get people into the sport. I target the people who want to get better. I've kind of given up on those who just don't care, because you cannot force somebody to give a shit. Either they're going to or they're not. If they don't care, you tell them that they should care is not going to change their opinion on it. There's
true.
people in my department that have way more guns than I do, way pricier guns than I do, guns that I've wanted to buy for years or dreamed about buying, and they've never shot them. They've got the nicest guns, the nicest optics, and they've never taken them out to the range once. And it's like, dude, if you will take that money that you used to buy the last 3 guns and put that into ammo or effort into going out to the range, you could actually qualify with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? You didn't qualify with your patrol rifle, so now we have to take it. It's true, 100%.
God, that's crazy.
It blows my mind every time. But I target those who have a desire to improve. Typically, they are those who are taking classes in the law enforcement realm, whether that's narcotics or DUI or criminal law or anything like that. Those who are trying to do better. They may or may not want to be promoted. They may or may not want to move to detectives or canine, whatever the case may be. But those who are trying to do better, a lot of the guys on our SWAT team, they want to get better. They just either it hasn't worked out for them to come out to a match, or there's a couple that just don't want to.
Right.
But I think a lot of that has to do with their egos. They don't like to. They think of themselves as the best of the department. Well, we are the best of the department. That's why we're on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is an elitist mentality there, but you also have to humble yourself when you find somebody that's better than you. And that's difficult for a lot of people, I think. So my strategy to get people out is to just keep on asking. And every time I've got a match coming up, hey, I got a match Saturday. Will you come out? Well, I got a thing with my girlfriend. So, okay, well, I'll ask you next week when I go to my next match. Okay. And I keep on asking. And last week I had 2 people that said they would come out to the match, and neither one of them responded to my text the day before. So I was, all right, I guess next time. So it can be discouraging for myself. But
yeah, I was going to say, that is a weird thing. Like, I've experienced that before too. It's like, you saw my last 13 texts that weren't involved in going to the match, and now you're not responding to this one. Come on, dude. We know what you're doing. You're just bitching out. We understand.
Yeah. Oh, I'll call them out too. All right. You want to bitch out this time, then yeah, okay. I'll come after you next time, bitch.
That's awesome. Well, the people that are trying to do better, do you find like kind of a certain demographic, like maybe they're younger and trying to improve their career? Do you find that
typically, yeah,
guys that have been around, the veterans, they know better than you and stop bothering me, kid, kind of thing?
I was going to say yes, but at the same time, there's also some of the older guys that have seen what I've been doing, and it's piqued their interest. My sergeant really wants to come out to a match. It hasn't worked out for him because he's got kids as well, and his wife also works at the PD, so they're dealing with rotating schedules and whatnot. And it's going to work out at some point. When it does, it's going to be good because he really does want to better himself in the shooting world and improve there. Some of the other ones that are gun guys who've been out shooting at the range for God knows how long, they also see the value in the training. I haven't necessarily gotten any of them out. The ones that I've gotten out have been kind of the younger guys that are trying to improve themselves. Mm-hmm. And actually, there's a couple new hires that we had recently that one of them signed up to take one of my classes. I'm like, well, that's really cool. He wants to pay out of his own pocket. And I cut our law enforcement guys a big break on my prices too, because I want them to come out, and I can't give up a free slot necessarily when I have classes as small as mine aren't, but I'll hook them up. You know, I want them to come out, and I will encourage the hell out of them to come out to a match.
Yeah. Well, when you get your
because that's where the training is.
Yeah. Well, when you get your sergeant in on it too, then that kind of has the potential to trickle down as well. Right?
Yes.
Like other people see that and like, well, he's doing it. I guess I better do it. And
that's my hope. And I'm going to keep on pushing as long as I can keep on pushing. So that's the whole idea behind it.
Absolutely.
To get them out there to do it.
Be persistent. Well, Joe, you and I have taken kind of a similar path in like teaching. I started shooting for self-defense purposes, actually became an NRA instructor, taught some basic pistol class, personal protection in the home, but then found like, that's really not my bag. Like I much more prefer competition shooting, and I got away from that and basically just devoted my life to competition shooting. So seems like you've kind of done the same thing with a lot of your focused training, where you still do those defensive classes as well, but you're really finding a lot of traction and a lot of interest in competitive shooting classes.
Right. With the self-defense stuff, there is a huge market there, and the people that want to get trained in it will. Yeah. There is so much misinformation in the self-defense world, so many poor instructors out there, and it boggles my mind how some of these guys, you see a new video every week on somebody doing something stupid, as far as instructors go. But yeah, I have more fun with the competitive shooting, and I still do the basic classes. I still do the handgun fundamentals and the carbine fundamentals and some defensive pistol classes and whatnot. I still occasionally do a concealed carry class because that's what there are a lot of people that want those. Mm-hmm. There's not a whole lot of money to be made in them. And frankly, with as crazy as my life is right now, giving up a full day to do that is tough.
Yeah.
So it's a balance. It really is.
So what classes are you doing then as far as competitive shooting goes?
Right now I'm doing, I have a 3-gun 101 class that I've run several times. Everyone that's taken it has been thrilled with it from what they've told me and what they posted on the line. It seems to be. I haven't heard any complaints from it at least.
Well, I've seen some pictures from that too, and it looks like all smiles unless you get rid of the pictures where you're yelling at them or something like that. But
no, there's not a whole lot of yelling that goes on unless So last week I did a competitive or a 3-gun class, and I told them, the first day we go over all the rules. Both these guys had never shot a competition before, but they wanted to get into it, and they've both been to prior classes. And I told them, look, the biggest rule of 3-gun or competition shooting in general is being safe. So we're treating this like a match. If you do something stupid, you're going to go sit in your truck and you're going to have timeout. Okay. If I have to DQ you, you're going to go home, basically, right? You're going to go sit in your truck and timeout and you come back out. Okay. So I got a video of one of the guys. I set up a really good 3-gun stage that had a lot of different options, a lot of different ways to run it. And this was the second day of the class. So we've already gone over the basics. We've already gone over the safety. We've gone over the transitions and whatnot. I let them take their time to walk the stage and come up with a stage plan and shoot their own stage plan. Then we break it down again and build a better stage plan, basically.
Cool.
So this guy comes up there, and sure enough, he grabs his rifle out of the bucket, shoots a couple targets, turns and starts to running. And he's done some tactical
up range.
No, it's across the bay. But
okay.
As he turns to his left and starts running right to left, he does the old tactical bring the rifle up to a port arms position, and I yelled at him. I said, I started with a muzzle, and I said, stop. And you could see his face just drop because he knew exactly what he did. I said, look, if this was a match, you'd be going home, unload and show clear. And I'll tell you what, he didn't break the 180 again. very effective.
You know,
But
it's interesting. Like the running with guns up, like straight up in the air. It's so easy to break the 180 that way because the 180 obviously goes up in the air as well.
yep.
It's not just right to left as you're standing in the bay. But I was complaining about this the other day, and Triple Kevin, we were just talking about Kevin Travis. He I was like, this. I like to use a lot of hyperbole in the way I talk, and I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It makes no sense. And he's like, doesn't it? I'm like, well, we tell them to bring their guns over to the line up, and when they're done shooting, we tell them to take their guns back to their bag up. Like the safe direction is up, and they're carrying their guns up all along. So when they're moving on the stage, why would they not think it's up? I was like, shit, you're right. Like I got to tell them that. So that's now gone into every safety brief, every class, every newbie I ever speak to now. That is something I discuss is like, don't run with your guns up in the air.
Yep.
Because it's really easy to break the 180 that way.
Yep. It's one of those things. You keep the muzzle at the target. That's the main thing you can do is keep it down range.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
it was a good learning experience for both him and myself and everyone else in the class.
Yeah.
Because
and
I'll realize, oh crap, he gets to go sit down and wait while everyone else gets to shoot.
In timeout, sucking his thumb.
I told him, look, if you spent $1,000 to get this match, you bought flights and you bought a hotel and rental car and everything, you get to sit there and watch everyone else shoot and maybe change your flights to go home a day early or whatever the case may be. But yeah, you don't get a refund.
Yeah, it would suck.
It's eye-opening for people who've never shot a match and never seen that happen or at least thought about it happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you keep your classes pretty small, right? You
yes.
Like to have. What is the reason for that? It's basically you don't lose track of them or what?
Well, so in my competitive shooting classes, I keep it down to 4. So with 4 people, I have 100% hands-on. I don't like to have people sitting around waiting for their turn. With 4 people, I can pretty much keep it to where 2 people are doing a drill, and 2 people are either reloading or watching or whatever the case may be. And that gives us the ability to. So when I do my 3-gun class, it's 2 days. The first day is focused on all the fundamentals and building the skill set. Second day is we set up typically 2 different stages. We'll set up one stage that's pretty straightforward. You shoot this gun from here, shoot this gun from here, shoot this gun from here. But it's a for me to run it, I think my fastest time to run it was about 45 or 50 seconds. So it's a good solid stage.
Yeah, that's a lot of shooting.
Yeah, it's good shooting, good movement. It incorporates a little bit of everything. We throw a slug in there just so you experience that. And then we set up a stage. We break that one down and we set up a stage that gives you a whole bunch of different options. And we really break down the stage planning portion of the skill set. So with 4 people, we're able to sit there and we're able to come up with 4 different stage plans on it. And we're able to break those down and I let everyone run their initial stage plan, and we see which one comes out top. And then I will come up with my own stage plan that usually is significantly more efficient. And we break down why it's more efficient. So it's a good hands-on experience as far as the different options that are out there, and that's the beauty of 3-gun to me is breaking down that puzzle and saying this is what you have to work with, make it happen.
Yeah,
and
I love
once you have the fundamentals of shooting and loading and whatnot down, then everything else is mental.
Yeah, for sure. And the mental obviously starts the day, the week before in your preparation, but yeah, the stage plan is freaking huge. And
yeah.
To have that done in a class is super important. Like, I think I've taken several classes, and only the advanced classes did we ever talk about stage planning and stage breakdown. But that, I think, is like some of the most valuable portion of it. Like,
yep.
Anytime you have a newbie on the range at a match, like a club match or something, generally you don't have to teach them how to pull the trigger. turn the safety on and off. That part
Right.
is definitely unfamiliar. It's not nearly as second nature as it is to someone who's like a seasoned veteran. But breaking down the stages and how you move and where you can see targets from and how you find all the targets and that sort of thing, like that is not intuitive.
No, it's not.
You
It's
don't just walk up to a stage and know that.
So in the whole concept behind my class that I built it around was to, if you're coming into 3-gun and you've never shot 3-gun before, it's going to cut your learning curve dramatically. It's taking everything that I've learned over the years of shooting that I've done and taking those few things that took me a long time to learn and breaking it down for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you've shot 3-gun, if you've got some classes under or some matches under your belt, it will help sharpen those skills significantly. Okay. Just having somebody explain it to you and give you a reason for why we do the things that we do. Cause that's the biggest thing is, as a shooter, we know the things that we got to do. But what I've purposed to do is figure out why we do those things and explain those to the newer shooters, and there's even those in the middle of the pack that are trying to up their game, is to cut the learning curve and sharpen your skills. That's the whole idea. If you're coming into this, you're going to learn the things that you would have figured out 3 years down the road, like reverse kneel or how to transition, how to do a candy cane load. Okay. Little things like that, how you stack your shells in your shotgun tube and the way they come out will determine how you shoot a stage, right? So little things like that most people won't figure out for a long time. The whole idea is to cut that learning curve in half.
That's huge, man. The there wasn't quite the robust 3-gun scene in Colorado when I started, and I went to like a ton of matches, helped set up, helped tear down, followed all the really good dudes around, and tried to glean from them like one nugget per match, and just enough to where I wasn't annoying them,
Yeah.
And when taking a class really does like shortcut that learning curve. Like I figure, over 2 to 3 seasons, I probably learned enough to where I was like proficient, but you can do that through like a class in one weekend. Yep.
So my goal for all of my students is that when you finish the class and you go to your first 3-gun match or your next 3-gun match, if you've shot some before, that you're not going to be there at the bottom of the pack. You're going to be middle of the pack because we've gotten over a lot of the hurdles that most people deal with coming into the sport fresh.
Yeah.
So that's the goal for me. And I have a blast doing it. Like it's a passion for me to teach. Like I never realized this growing up, but I really enjoy teaching people how to do stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'm saying,
we have
man,
fun with it.
That's where the 3-gun show came from, is the
Exactly.
the desire to spread that knowledge. Well, for the audience listening, give us like a sneak peek. What are a couple of those things that you pass out to your students that are going to help them shortcut and not end up at the bottom of the heap on the next match?
Well, some of those things, like I already said, is we break down the stage. So the first day we pretty much cover the fundamentals, manipulation. We do some WMD drills, weapon manipulation drills. We do some the basics, transitions between guns, making sure that you have a decent draw, decent trigger finger, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sight alignment, sight picture, all that. We work on some positional work with rifle. We work on loading shotgun, a little, some techniques for that. But then the second day is where we really start breaking down stuff. The stage breakdown is the biggest part, I think. And when I do my stages, I give the option of so the first stage when we have, you're progressing through it, you have to do a candy cane. Okay. There is a slug shot and there's bird shot. I don't care where you throw it in there. One guy in this last class, he did a beautiful candy cane load, but he missed the bird shot and he's took probably 10 seconds trying to figure out which one was next. Do I shoot the slug or do I shoot the bird shot? And once he figured that out, he never had a problem with it again. But that stuff you don't want to do at a match. You want to do that in practice.
Oh yeah.
And so
I've done that.
It's
on the
little
clock.
things like that there's a finite number of skills that we practice in 3-gun. Okay. The whole idea is when we do dry fire, when we go out to the range and we train, the whole idea is that you don't do any of those skills for the first time on the clock, right? If we know that we're going to a match that has a sling involved, you need to be practicing with that sling ahead of time. Okay, we're not going to go through slings in this class here, in the 3-gun 101 class, because it's not common. But the idea is that you get as many of those skills practiced ahead of time to where it's not a surprise when you see it in a match. You're like, oh, well, that's difficult, but I've done that before. I know I can hit that, There's awkward positions and whatnot. So those are the types of things that we go through. And we have fun doing it. And I give them lunch, so that's good. And typically there are beverages afterwards, so it's always a good time.
Nice. Sounds like a good time. So, Joe, you've got a couple classes coming up here in March and May. If people are interested in training with you, how do they do that?
I just launched my website, farewellfirearms.com. We are still tweaking a few things as far as how you're registering for classes and whatnot, but that is active. You can jump on there and check out the calendar. As far as classes coming up, I got the competitive pistol class. It's going to be just basic competition mindset and how to shoot a match. That's March 17th. That's a 1-day class. And then on the 5th and 6th of May, I'm actually doing an all-ladies 3-gun class with the idea that 2 weeks after that is the Babes with Bullets match, which is an all-ladies 3-gun match. So in preparation for Babes with Bullets, we're doing an all-ladies 3-gun class. And then the weekend after that, May 12th and 13th, I'm doing a 3-gun level 2 class, which will be more advanced. We're going to get away from some of the very basic stuff. This is for those who are shooting middle of the pack and want to come up and sharpen their skills, basically. It's really designed for people who've shot matches already and want to get a little bit better at it. So that's what I got so far. I got some more on the calendar that we'll be releasing, and hopefully we're going to be doing some traveling to do some classes out and about, which will be fun.
Very cool. Well, you'll have to keep us posted on that. Joe, you mentioned a couple times here that you don't have time for this, and this is taking up your time. You sound like a really busy guy. Like, how do you balance the family, the stomping out the drug trade in Florida, and shooting as well?
Well, that's one of the biggest things for me that I've been working on the past year or so. It's just finding a balance in life in general. 3-gun has a way of becoming all-consuming for a lot of people.
Oh, really?
And oh, really?
I can relate to that.
Dave. Case in point, right there. Dave Hartman, all consumed by 3-gun.
Absolutely.
But it's incredibly addicting. However, for me, I'm working sometimes 70, 80-hour weeks because of my position and the crazy crap that we get into. But even when I'm working a regular week, it's tough to get off work and get home and decide what I'm going to do. So I'm finding that balance between practicing and spending time with your family, because really, family's number one. If they're not on board with you shooting 3-gun, then probably need to find another sport, as unfortunate as that is. One of my good buddies that is another cop that I used to travel with to matches too. I traveled with to matches. We shot a lot together, and he would come down and train with me pretty regularly. However, family things change, and he's had to take a step back for a while. Not sure if and when he's going to come back, but he made the right call and transition to a full family focus,
Mm-hmm.
because the job itself is demanding enough. And when you're talking about, I'm going to take vacation, but I'm not going to spend my vacation with you, it's a tough call.
Yeah.
It's something I've had to work out with my wife and my kids to figure out how we're going to make this work, because it's a passion of mine. It's my only hobby, besides flying paramotors occasionally. But it is important to me. So making it work with the family is crucial. And to build that balance between work and then practice, and then also doing the training stuff and building this website. I mean, for me, my practice regimen has taken a major step back in the past couple months, because I've been putting so much work into making the training side work.
Right.
Getting the website set up, getting classes put together, and all of that stuff. So the way that I've done that is basically figuring out what my priority is. Okay. When I get home or on my way home from work, I'm usually thinking in my head, okay, what do I have to get done? And I have a list of stuff that if I worked 100 hours a week for 100 weeks, I would never get it all done. Okay, I could literally work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not get my list of stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to prioritize it. So I'm going to be prioritizing a little bit this week, getting myself trained up, because I got the first major 3-gun match coming up in 2 weeks. And then right after that, I got rock hard, and my physical training is taking a hit, and my shooting training is taking a hit because of all the classes I've been doing, and all of my off time's been spent getting ready for those.
Yeah.
So I got to prioritize getting my my long range ammo dialed in, getting that load figured out, 100% ready to go, and cranking out some rounds on my loader. And then also balancing in some family time somewhere, which is what I did today. You know, I make sure that every day that I'm off, or not even every day that I'm off, every day that I get off work, I spend at least 15, 20 minutes of focus time without looking at my phone, without getting on the computer, without doing anything else. Spend that focus time with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if it's just 15 or 20 minutes or 30 minutes before they go to bed, you know, where we sit down and read or wrestle, because Lord knows they love to do that. But no matter what it is, I know that I can carve out 15 to 20 minutes. Now, it can be frustrating sometimes because I'll be in the middle of a project and I need to get it done. But I purpose to find that balance to say, I am going to give them the focus time, right? I'm not going to reply to that Facebook message that just came through regarding whatever, you know, somebody else looking for what shotgun they need to buy. You know, I get the questions all the time, but they can wait for 15 minutes because I'm going to take that time and I'm going to focus it. And figuring out what your priorities are and how to prioritize those priorities, because I've got a lot of things that are priorities, but balancing those into something that works is difficult. It's a constant juggling match as far as figuring out what is the most immediate priority and how do we accomplish that.
Yeah, for sure. You know, for me, I've experienced a lot of the same thing. Like with the 3-Gun Show, I'm super available, right? Like people can email me, they can DM me on Instagram, message me on the 3-Gun Show Facebook page. A lot of people have become my friend, and they'll ask questions like on my personal Facebook page and everything. And it's great. I really enjoy that, and I love being the person that people go to for answers. But I like to view all that stuff as like, Post-it notes,
Yep.
Like just leave me a Post-it note and then I will respond to it when I have time. As like you, like, I don't have a family, but I do have other stuff to do outside of answering questions and things like that.
You've got a dog.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't want to be one of those douchebags. It's like, yo, my dog is my family. Yes, he does rely on me for stuff, but I imagine it's different than having 2 little girls. But, but yeah, I do treat those messages that same way. And it's like, I may not be able to always respond immediately. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, but I'll get to them, if yours gets tossed down into the mix where I don't see it anymore, send a general reminder and I'll get to it soon. But
absolutely.
I think, excuse me, I think with the number of ways that I'm available, and you probably feel this too, the number of ways that you're available, it becomes like a constant, batting down of the it reminds me like whack-a-mole, It's
Yep,
like,
absolutely.
boom, here's a message, bam, it's down. Boom, here's a message, bam, it's down.
One of the biggest problems with that is so like you said, I get messages on Instagram, I get messages on my business Facebook page, Farewell Firearms Training. I get messages on my athlete page, Joseph Farewell. I get messages on my personal Facebook page, Joe Farewell. I get emails on my personal account. I get emails on my business account. That's 7 different ways that people can reach out to me.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, text messages and phone calls. And some people that I talk to in about 6 different formats. Like you, we talk on we talk on Instagram, we talk on Snapchat, we talk on text message, we talk on email.
Yeah,
it's like
and the phone.
So and the phone. So and then try to find out where that. So which platform did he send me his address on again?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, man.
I do that. I do that with booking the show too. And I found that it's like, oh well, is this person an Instagrammer or is this person an email or did they text me? And I'm like looking through like 5 platforms to find, what time we're supposed to talk, and then we trade like 7 different messages on like when we're gonna talk, and then as I'm going through, it's like, okay, well, it wasn't on Instagram, but I got 2 messages here. I can respond to those real quick, and then I forget what I'm doing, and then it's like, okay, who was I thinking of, and when were we gonna talk? So.
Yep, I completely commiserate with you there.
Yeah, and Joe, these are high quality problems, right? To have people that want to connect with you is a good thing. So,
absolutely,
for those listening, by no means am I discouraging any of this, but
oh no,
I'm only saying this to say, like, I do a lot of work with my phone in airplane mode. So if I don't get back to you right away, it's nothing personal. I'll be back to you shortly, but I'm just in the middle of something right now that I need to concentrate on.
Yep. Yeah, and if I don't get back to you, then please reach out again, because chances are I've forgotten. Yeah. And not because you're not important, but because I'm ADD, and I didn't realize I was ADD until I started working as a detective and having a caseload and whatnot, and realizing that I got to type this report. Oh, but I'm also searching on this guy's social media. Oh, and I'm also doing this, and I got to work on the search warrant. And yep, and then I get to the end of the day and I realize I just spent 12 hours and did I got a lot done, but nothing actually got done.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of projects worked on, but nothing actually finished. That's been one of my biggest struggles, is trying to actually finish crap.
Did I tell you what? The other day I was trying to put together like the steps that it takes to do the 3-gun show. Mm-hmm. And I surmised by the end that I had a podcast and I uploaded it and scheduled it and everything. I surmised that it's just one step. I do it all at once, because like while the show's compiling, I'm doing the artwork and I'm searching for photos and this, and getting background on people's bios for that. And oh, that's right, Joe and I are supposed to talk on Friday. I want to text him real quick and make sure that we're still doing that. So it's difficult, and I don't consider myself someone with ADD, but maybe I should.
Well, and I never did before either, until I started doing this type of work. And I mean, I think ADD is probably the most overdiagnosed thing ever, but it's true, because my brain bounces from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, just like you're saying. And it is hard to find that, to knuckle down and find that focus. I'll walk out to my laundry room where I have a lot of my gun stuff, and I have a purpose that I'm walking out there. I got to go pick up this out of my range bag that I put in there last week or my calendar or whatever. And then the next thing I know, I just loaded 10 rounds of long range ammo using a different powder because I wanted to test this out and I just remembered to do that because I walked out. Then I forgot to grab my calendar. I go back in. The conversation I was having is ended because the guy signed off. I'm like, well, son of a bitch. I guess I'm not getting anything done. Guess I'll go test this new long range ammo out.
That's awesome.
It's true, man. It's crazy.
I'm not that bad, but I have always said that anytime I pass through a door, like my mind erases like a complete like. What?
Oh yeah.
Why did I come into this room?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
But one of the things you said was turning off all that stuff and focusing on your girls for an amount of time. I find that huge in personal relationships.
Yep.
It helps you to be present and connect with the person that you're there with, and two, it sends a message of how important they are to you, right?
Yep.
So if you're sitting there at dinner with your wife and you're booking a class on your cell phone, that doesn't really make her feel important. So
I'm guilty. I've done it.
I've done stuff like that too, but it's a process, and I try very hard not to do that anymore. To the point where, I'll leave my phone in the car sometimes if I go to dinner with a buddy or something. And then one thing I noticed is like I have to leave the phone in the car, in the locker when I go to the gym, especially if I go during the day, because people are constantly contacting me about different projects we're working on and stuff like that. And I've found it like it just takes twice as long to get through that time.
Yep, it does. And like you said, it's crucial to the showing them how important they are. And part of that is not just turning off your phone, but turning your brain off, because I can sit there and I can be working on the next thing in my brain and there is no connection there.
Yeah.
And that's important. And for those of you that are listening, if you do have kids, that's number one. That's what you have to be focusing on. Whether you can get off work, and we all want to do or don't want to dry fire. We know we need to, or go out and practice, or whatever the case may be. But take that time to turn it off, turn off the next thing that's going on in your brain, and give them the focus time. Because the fact of the matter is, we don't have a whole lot of it, and we want them to grow up right. But ask them what they want to do and do it. That's what I've been really focusing hard on doing lately, just because of how busy I am, and my work schedule fluctuates a lot. One day I may be going in at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the next day I may be working until 10 o'clock at night. Or I'll have those crazy days that turn into 18 to 24 to 30 hour long days that I'm at work. And that's like being gone for a weekend. You get back and you have to give them that time. Right.
Yeah, Joe, I think that's just a great message to end on here. Give your family the time, create some sort of balance there. So farewellfirearms.com is where we can find all your training, and it's Joe_Farewell on Instagram, right?
Indeed. Yes, and it is.
FAREWELL, Farewell. Joe, man, this has been great having you on the podcast, dude. I really appreciate your time, and I admire what you're doing in trying to get your coworkers to come out to the matches with you, and what you're doing with training people to shortcut their learning curve in 3-gun.
Well, I'm excited about it too, Dave, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to hang out and chat about it. It's always a good time.
Always. It's kind of weird that we're recording this one. Usually we just talk on the phone.
And we usually talk about for about the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Joe, thanks, man, for being a part of the show. It was great to share your story with the audience, man, and we'll be chatting with you soon.
Sounds good, brother. Talk to you soon.
Hey, before you take off, check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com for links to things that we discussed in the podcast. You can also sign up on Patreon as a 3-Gun Show supporter or purchase 3-Gun Show apparel. This podcast is brought to you by Breda USA, Italian shotguns that are the best in the world. And this is a shotgun tech tip from Team Breda. Hey, this is Dave Hartman from the 3-Gun Show, and I'm with Josh Tarrant of Team Breda, and we are going to show you a shotgun tech tip. Josh, what do you got?
All right, today I'm going to teach you guys how to do an emergency reload or a bolt lock reload. You have fired your last round, your gun's gone empty. You don't want it to be empty, you need to get it back in the game. So what you're going to do is immediately get the gun in your loading position, draw your shells, close the bolt, perform your reload, trip your release, rack it, back shooting.
And that's your tech tip for today from Josh Tarrant of Team Breda. Check out Breda's B12i 3-gun ready inertia-driven shotgun at bredausa.com. That's BREDA. Quick reminder that if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content, so you will always get the very latest. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.